I did actually say, I think I was quite complimentary about you as well. I regret that now as well. Saying that you're one of the few people that is actually able to articulate it and join the dots, as I say, between the elements of life and politics that I find frustrating and the European Union. But my argument was that I feel like we've taken a bit of a dent economically, and that I think that making it difficult to trade with our partners close to us has made it more difficult. And also, the other thing I'd throw into that, which I don't think you and I disagree on, is actually the kind of Brexit we've ended up with isn't necessarily better than had we remained. And that's ended up being frustrating for everyone, right?
Absolutely. We haven't taken back control. We've left the institutions of the European Union, the Parliament, the Commission, our representation on the ECJ and so on, but we haven't actually taken back control. We still have all 4,800 EU regulations that were passed in Brussels without debate by Parliament and adopted onto our statute books because Kemi Badenoch bottled, ditching them. We're obliged to align ourselves with EU state aid law, competition law, employment, environment, including the drive to net zero, which we'll be talking about in the context of King Charles. All of these are massive policy areas from which we cannot deviate from the EU. And of course, we've left Northern Ireland behind. And we've partitioned the United Kingdom as we left the European Union. I can see you waiting to get in on that one.
I think there's more important stuff rather than going over the Brexit debate, as fun as it is. But that leads me to question what we saw on, I think, the front page of the Telegraph today, saying that reform will...
Sunday Times, yeah.
Sunday Times. Well, God, it is Sunday. I don't have any clue what day it is at the moment, because now over Christmas, days mean nothing. But a big article on the front page of the Sunday Times talking about how Richard Tice, and of course you are deputy leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice is the leader, saying that he's assured members of Reform that they will be standing candidates at every single constituency when it comes to the next election, other than Northern Ireland. And that immediately made me think of your anger about Northern Ireland being left behind. Surely that would be somewhere that you'd want to stand candidates, because you would want them to be able to have their voice heard if they are as angry as you are. So why aren't Reform standing candidates there?
So just to clarify what Richard said, we're committed to standing in every seat in Great Britain, committed to it.
Yeah.
But he didn't say we're not going to stand in Northern Ireland.
Okay.
Just to be clear on that. Northern Ireland, of course, doesn't have any representation from Labour or the Conservative Party. And, one of the reasons Northern Ireland keep repeatedly getting shafted, for want of a better word, by Westminster is because it doesn't have Labour MPs or Conservative MPs. But because it doesn't, and because our fight principally is with the uni party that is the Con Lahab socialist progressive party that governs Westminster, we're concentrating our fight naturally in Great Britain. But it's an excellent article. But before we discuss that, can I just...
But sorry, just to press you on that, though. Yeah. Why isn't there more of a commitment to do Northern Ireland if you are, as a party, and yourself... So
Northern Ireland's destiny...
But, Reform has already selected candidates for 440 seats and intends to stand in all constituencies, bar those in Northern Ireland. So that does sound like you've either not chosen them in Northern Ireland or not made a full decision yet.
So this is the ridiculousness of devolution. Northern Ireland's destiny isn't determined by what happens in Northern Ireland. It's determined by what happens principally in the Conservative Party and the Labour Party. They don't really have a say in what happens to them. And one of the things I've been saying to the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland is that Sir Geoffrey, who I like enormously, needs to bring the DUP out of Northern Ireland into Great Britain. You can't genuinely be a unionist party, in my view, without seeking to have representation in the region that really matters, which is Great Britain, where the majority of the seats are. And Sir Geoffrey should fight elections in Great Britain if he wants Northern Ireland's interests protected. So we're doing that for him in Great Britain.
That the DUP, bearing in mind they are the Unionist Party, they are the party that stands for Britain and Northern Ireland being aligned together, they're sort of doing what Reform would want to do there anyway. They're sort of representing the views of Reform.
There are allies. The DUP...
So you don't need to stand there.
I mean, the DUP... I can't say we agree with